What's going on, Initiative? Welcome back to the BTS, and we're coming to you for 2020 with a whole new style and flavor. We're going to take the BTS and not just talk about stuff we're angry about or behind the scenes of the podcast. We want to take the BTS and talk about real world stuff, in-world stuff, stuff that affects Afrofuturism, politics, music, sports, anything you guys suggest down in the comments. So we're going to get right into it. And I'm your host, Darren Bradley, along with
Paulina. What's up, guys? It's been a moment. A very long moment.
But that moment's over and we back and we get right into business. Paulina, what is our first topic for our first new BTS format?
Okay, so forgive me if I mess up the wording of this, but it's a whole hot thing about either we have a black Superman or a black superhero that's already established, but slap a black face on it, or we just create a completely separate black superhero. And it's been a thing, not just with superheroes, but just with any character for a while. And I feel like it's long overdue that we just talk about this.
And I agree with you. And it's so many different ways and formats come up to it, because like one of the things, like you just mentioned, a black Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Michael B. Jordan, right?
Yes.
And people were like, Michael B. Jordan might replace Henry Cavill as the Superman. But people didn't also understand they've created Black Superman before.
Yep.
Completely separate from Clark Kent.
Like
nobody just go ahead.
It's like people forget, like both Marvel and DC do alternate universe type stuff, like multiverse stuff. So you can tell either people who haven't gone too far into the comic book lore, or it's just people who just haven't looked at comic books at all. They're like angry about this stuff, and it's like, no, pay attention to what's actually going on here.
And I think that's the problem that goes with like diversity and this all-inclusive thing. And it can't be all-inclusive if stuff isn't equal. Because for me, it's like, okay, so somebody say, I'm a Marvel guy. I learned how to read with Marvel, so I'm use Marvel as the best example.
Mm-hmm.
People were upset when they made Mary Jane black and she wasn't a white redhead in the movies. My thing was this, okay, what does that change about the character? Black women can be models. Black women can be high school students. Black women can be redheads. You don't change the character of MJ by making her black. But you turn around and make Black Panther white. You change the character, because the whole thing about Black Panther, he's a king of an unconquered African country. How can he be that way if he's white?
Unless it's South Africa, but that's a whole...
But no, because even in South Africa, it was Africans. The Dutch just came over there to conquer it.
True.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Changing the race of a character only should matter if it changes the character. MJ can be black, Asian, anything, as long as she's redhead, to tell you the truth. That was her big characteristic from the comic books, and that she was kind of a jerk. Other than that,
True. Yeah.
She's Mary Jane.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think that's where the big debate comes in, when people are like, well, you're just doing it for diversity's sake. And yes, some of these companies are doing it for diversity's sake, but y'all still fall for it anyway. So why are you mad? Because then if a new black character come out, y'all don't support it.
Right. That's what blows me. It's like, well, okay, why are you complaining? It's like people just want to complain for complaining's sake. And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, for instance, us black people, we want more representation in media and mainstream media. They're yelling at us like, oh, then why don't you go and create your own thing? Okay, we go and create our own thing. Then we're yelled at, oh, we got to be more PC now. What's all this insertions and pleasing everybody? And it's like, so y'all just want to complain because y'all want to complain. Y'all actually just hate black people. Y'all just hate women. Y'all actually just hate anybody who's not white, male, and rich. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Right.
Or nerdy.
Right, because the thing again, I'm a Marvel guy, but Disney owns them, so it kind of makes me a Disney guy now. The same dumb stuff with Ariel.
Oh man.
Ariel can't be black. She was white in the cartoon. Well, guess what? In the book that the cartoon stole for, she was green. What are you talking about?
And why is Sebastian Jamaican?
Yeah, and they supposed to be over there somewhere in Dutchland. How is he Jamaican?
Like how?
And don't forget, Ariel has Asian and black sisters in the cartoon.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's what I and
like.
and
How does
that's
that
what
make sense? None. And freaking Ursula is a drag queen. So
thank you. And it's that phony representation. And I think that's the bigger issue. It's not whether you race bend the character, it's phony representation. Because I don't give a crap about MJ. She's not my favorite character anyway, period. So whether
oh my
she's black,
God.
white, Asian, cool.
Thank you for saying
But
that
the
because I
thing
felt
is,
the same.
oh, but this
I
the
don't
thing
like her.
though. But there are black characters in Peter Parker's history. Bring them up more. You literally had Childish Gambino as a black character that's been around in the comic books for a while. He was in the movie for like 10 seconds. But flesh him out. Build up his character more. You built him up in the cartoon version. Build him up in the live action version. You got a great actor in Childish Gambino. Build it up. You have black characters in the comic books. Yeah, they start off as sidekicks. That's the history of the comic books. You can't deny that. But eventually they became their own characters. But you got to get them there.
Yeah.
Not just change the race of an established character.
I know. And you got to build up a legacy too, like you're saying. Like going on the whole, like Miles Morales being the new Spider-Man. Well, not new, because in the comics it's been around for a minute. But you have Miles Morales taking the mantle of Spider-Man. Mind you, in another universe. Okay. But it's still kind of one of those things where it's like, well, Peter Parker can't be Spider-Man forever. You have... Steve Rogers cannot be Captain America forever. We have the torch to be to be passed. Like it happens in real life. Why can it not happen in comic books? What is so hard to comprehend? Like that has to happen eventually at some point. I mean, that's my thing. And it's just when you bring up a character such as Miles Morales, you had people get angry about it. And it's like, why are you upset? Because he's black.
And that's what blows me. Because the thing is, especially in the comic book medium, we've had successful passing of the torches. John Stewart, the Black Green Lantern, is probably one of the most popular Green Lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really cared that much when it happened because the first Green Lantern, back then, the reason they changed him, because he was boring. Like, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's throw a black dude in there.
Right.
But they created a new character.
And it's a whole legacy.
Established that character. Exactly. And they established that character. And I think that it becomes that of the larger conversation of colorism and false diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have the original cast of Spider-Man. It's all a bunch of white kids. Yes, it was written in the 60s by white people who's around a bunch of white people. But as the character grew, of course, he came to be around more diverse people. They want to start off at the diverse part. That's cool. But you could do that by just bringing in new characters. You don't have to race bend anybody. But if you do race bend them, you have to make the race bending insignificant, like again with Mary Jane. Everything that Mary Jane is from the comic books, anybody else of any other race and culture can be the same thing.
Or Nick Fury.
Agreed.
Freaking Nick Fury. Oh, I remember when that happened. Oh, man. And it's like, but it works. Samuel L. Jackson was perfect as Nick Fury. Like, that's the character.
And what made it so funny is, once again, like with Miles Morales, they did it in another universe first to be like, okay, let's see what happens.
And it was successful. It legit won an Oscar, my friends. An Oscar.
Super successful.
Like, that's like hands down my favorite Spider-Man movie. So.
And 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 it's starting to become this thing, and it's a backlash. Let's be honest, it's a backlash.
Right.
Well, I grew up where they were all white. They got to stay white. Well, no, because plain and simple, because everything was never all white.
Oh my god.
Because all the stuff that you grew up thinking was all white was stolen from people of color, and then some of the people who were white and wrote it still put color in it. Again, Ariel was green. She was never white. Read the original story.
Plus, I mean, if they want to, no, they can't get mad at that. And plus, you want to stay true to the source material. Ariel dies too.
Oh yeah, and she's a vampire technically. She's a sea vampire.
Oh yeah, that's true. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
So go sing Under the Sea and enjoy the original shit. You got Disney Plus. You're fine.
Right.
You're fine. Everything's okay. Mm-hmm. But it's those things. Like I said, when people come with that argument, you'll be upset if they made Black Panther white. Well, yeah, because he's no longer Black Panther. He's White Panther. What they got to do with Wakanda?
Right.
Those are two different things.
Yep. And again, it's like, I mentioned this. We talked about this before starting this. I also mentioned for the show The Flash briefly because I'm sorry, it's a terrible show. For those of you who love it so much for how many seasons? 7 now? Anyways, like you have the West family. You have an all-black West family. Some people had an issue with it. Granted, it wasn't as big as Nick Fury and Ariel and this, that, and the other. I think it's because of the actors chosen. Like, Jesse L. Martin is a class act anyway. Okay. 2, what I appreciated about the show, despite its numerous shortcomings in terms of its script, was how they that's how it is. Like, you have Iris, she's black, okay, and she's still, she's still a badass. Period. Like, they didn't write... I mean, that's the thing I don't like about how they try to make, the cast or the characters more diverse in these type of stories, because I've noticed a long time ago that when they try that, they try to center it around their race or the difference from the rest of the cast, and it's never worked. So with this, with Iris West being black, her dad being black, her brother, well, in this instance, it worked because they didn't focus on that. It's just that's how they were. That's just is. Right. They just happen to be black. Period. Yeah. And they're amazing characters, despite how not well they're used in the show. Yes. Right. Like, they have potential, so does Cisco. But that's a whole other conversation for another. It's a rant. Because no. But yeah, you have that instance. You still have so many examples of just how it's just people just straight up showing their racism. Period.
And like you said, it is something that needs to be addressed, because that type of bigotry and colorism, that affects the diversity conversation. Because when everybody says we need to include everybody needs their say, like the Oscars so white, all that stuff, all that's cool, and everything should be judged on its quality. But you can't judge stuff on its quality when the scale is always tipped in favor of one certain group. And that's the same thing it goes when it comes to race bending to me. Because you have Marvel, and Marvel is smart. Let's never forget that part. Marvel is smart. And they know they want to keep as many people come in as possible. That's why you do Shang-Chi. That's why you make the Luke Cage TV show, and you make it radical, because you may not get away with that in Middle America, but hey, they still gonna watch though.
Yep.
But then you sprinkle some of that stuff in. You bring in all the black sidekicks. Like I said, they sidekicks, War Machine, Falcon. You bring them in.
And then you pass the torch.
And unlike the comic books, maybe you don't revert so fast because you get scared because 3 people online yell at you. You just make good stories and let it ride.
Exactly. That's how it's supposed to be. But, we have many writers, many producers. I don't know who buckles under pressure. I don't know who specifically, who makes all the rules and makes sure that everybody is satisfied, or, the more, I don't know, people who don't read shit. Sorry.
And that's why you gotta create your own. And I think that's another organic part of the conversation when it comes to that diversity and race bending. You don't have to worry about somebody race bending established character from the 1940s that was white. Make your own stuff in 2020. Put that out there and let that ride out exactly. And then we got to worry about it. They could race bend whoever they want. We got our own.
Exactly. Which is, it kind of reminds me, I know it's kind of like on a larger scale, it's just, yeah, we have to create our own. It's like, it just reminds me of like the whole conversation about like, I know it's like completely left field, but like that whole conversation about women directors versus male directors or men directors being selected for Oscar nominations. And it's like this whole thing of, okay, you want that diversity, create your own. Oh, there aren't that many of this certain group in this like mainstream like filmmaking. There aren't that many female directors. There aren't that many black directors or whatever. And it's like, okay, go and create your own. And when you don't see that many in the mainstream, like selected, like a selection for a huge, so supposedly a huge award show, okay? And a majority of them are white and men. The comments I see are, well, the women directors just have to make better movies. Literally. And it's like, no, that's not that's not what's going on here. So it's the same thing here. Like you have in the mainstream, not as much representation. You try to insert, you try to be like, okay, a black Superman, okay, a black Nick Fury, this, that, and the other. And it causes an uproar, and it's like, no, go make your own crap. And it's like, okay, we'll go make our own crap. We actually go and do it. And then we're still flamed for it. Like, oh, now we gotta be PC. Why is this a thing? Why do I have to accommodate for everybody now? And it's like, because it's an exclusive club that you guys kicked us out of. You guys don't want us to be there in the first place. This is a huge issue. This is huge. And it's like, I don't want to say nobody wants to hear it, but nobody wants to hear it. Even our own don't want to support each other. That's a whole thing too. I don't know if we have time to get into that.
See, if we get into that, to me, it's not. No, seriously, if we get into that, it's not about just our people don't want to support our own. Our people have been brainwashed not to.
Yeah.
I don't care if people believe the Willie Lynch letter is real or not, but the effects of those words are evident in history.
Oh yeah.
And it's that divide and conquer, where you will sit there and beg to be under the masses' boot, but won't fight to be free. Because we have black directors. There are women directors. We have diversity. We have independent writers, music, books. But we don't hype them up as much as we will hype, oh my God, the white person created something for black people.
And we don't see enough of that because there's a mainstream and there's the indie circuit. You do better in the indie circuit, but the indie circuit doesn't get as much attention. And when it finally does, there's still an undercutting. There's still a lot of undercutting.
But that's from my point of view, I believe that's still working with their system. Who decides what's indie? Who decides what's mainstream? Who decides what goes where and how it becomes popular? It's us anyway. Let's not deny our power. We decide what's cool. So we all just say, like, you know what? We ain't finna go watch this crap that some white person made. We finna go support our brothers and sisters. They'll be right behind us, like they were for Black Panther. Like, Black Panther to me is the perfect example of how black people don't know their power, that we just don't know it, because we ran and made Black Panther cool. Marvel and them, let's be honest, they might not want to admit it. They was afraid this may not have popped off. That's why they put it in Black History Month.
Which made it even better.
Right. Everybody came after us when we made it cool. But that's with everything. That's fashion. That's music. All the stuff that they cut us out from. And I'm doing this in quotation. I know y'all can't see me. But we dictate all that. But then we give it away. We don't control it. We don't keep it. We sell it for that big payday. And then you let some white people run it, and then it's gone, BET. But if we kept it and kept supporting it and built the foundation and created the legacy, back to the comic books, and created that legacy and kept passing it on, we wouldn't have to worry about that stuff anymore. We wouldn't have to be screaming for diversity all the time. We will have our own support. We will have our own images, our own media.
And we're building ourselves up to it. Slowly but surely.
And I think that's the thing that people are starting to get, and this diversity and race bending conversation leads to that. It is control and power. You don't have to worry about Marvel giving you more black characters if you support a black owned comic book company. We wouldn't have to worry about what DC is going to do with Static Shock. If we had supported Milestone back in the day, Milestone would still be owned by black people. Mm-hmm. And these lessons are being learned now. They just being learned, like you said, it's taking a lot longer than it should.
Now there are a lot of obstacles. A lot.
Yeah. We gonna plug our social medias anyway, but our social media is full of black-owned stuff that we share all the time. Mm-hmm. All the time. I get like 2 or 3 views on it. Now, is that our fault? Maybe we don't share enough. Maybe we don't hype it up enough. Don't know. But it's there. It's there. We have to support it.
And we have to keep supporting it until we're blue in the face and our fingers fall off.
Yeah, and of course, only support the good stuff. If it's bad, it's bad. I mean, you know.
No, but we can still criticize and, push for better. Encourage to do better. See, even if it's bad, we still need to see it. We still need to support it and go, okay, this ain't great. Here's what y'all can do to make it better. All right, get to it.
Exactly. So, bringing it back to the topic of discussion, that's why I think it's important for, of course, there to be some race bending. You know what I mean? Because, let's be honest, a lot of that stuff was super white back in the day. Mm-hmm. Because, again, the black comic book industry was destroyed back in the day. Yep. And that's a whole nother conversation for later. Mm-hmm. But when bringing up that topic of race bending, it goes back to the core of it, the characters, and why aren't we supporting black characters and black-owned media and black-owned entertainment? Instead of crying for somebody else to change something that they have and that they own. Why are we not worried about what we own, what we have?
No, that's a psychology thing.
Exactly.
It's a psychology thing. Now that I can get into for hours.
Right. And I think that's something that the new initiative BTS can get into. We can get into the psychology of why in America black people can sometimes skew to those type of thought processes, and how it affects our people in the diaspora, in the Caribbean, in South America, in Africa. And those things are Afrofuturism. The things we deal with in the present from our past lead us to our future. And that's what Afrofuturism is about. That's why we switched up to BTS in this way, so we can get a more diverse and in-depth look or opinions from you guys and from us about Afrofuturism and the best ways to go about it. But the Afro Anime Initiative podcast is still going to be about the geek stuff. Don't worry. Still looking at cool anime. Still giving you all the best comic books, best cartoons. So don't worry about it. This is going to be the more serious side. That's all we say.
I mean, we need the more serious side because this is what people are talking about. This is what people are worried about, and it affects Afrofuturism ultimately. So, our plugins. Here's where you can find us, my friends. Here on YouTube, Afro AI, or no, Afro_AI, because I mix them up. We have our Instagram, Afro Anime Initiative, one long word. Yes? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then we have Facebook, which is Afro Anime Initiative, one long word as well. And then our Twitter, which is Afro_AI. So you'll see all the content that we were talking about. All the good black-owned good stuff. Not just black characters. Black-owned creations, comics, anime. We have black-owned anime now, which is it's great. It's great. I was about to drop a bomb right there. Which is, it's comics, anime. We have art, straight up art. Those who are into just weird, obscure what is it? Celestial art. We got artists for that. Oh man, we've got artists for that. So just explore those pages, share them, talk about it, talk to us about it, talk to each other about it, and come on back. Listen to us again and engage. You'll be surprised at how much we can break down because we're really good with that.
So I think that's it for us for today. And like I said, welcome to the new initiative BTS, and look forward to more Afro Anime Initiative. Bye-bye.
Bye.